Welcome. In front of me I have the brand new Samsung Galaxy S23, and today I'll go over unboxing along with a quick overview of this device. So to get started, let's just kind of get a glance at specs right here. So we have a 256 gigs of storage and 8 gigs of RAM, and this is the green color variant. It's kind of nice that they didn't make it some kind of like weird name like I don't know, Flora Green or whatever they usually do. We have made in Vietnam and just a symbol SM-S911B, which is basically the version of this device, meaning the Galaxy S23. Anyway, just pull these little tabs. Well, that was a massive disappointment. Oh, come on! Samsung, can't you just do one thing correctly? Okay. There is an arrow. I'm gonna peel this one. Come on. I believe you can. Ah, disappointment. Immeasurable. Okay, so Samsung, if you can't actually make a good peel tab, don't want to add at all. Come on. There we go. Whoa, that is looking kind of weird. Ah, there we go. That actually looks really nice when you like unpack it. The way it just kind of like has this nice flat design. It's kind of cool. Oh, this is also sticky. Then we get the phone itself. Now I do have to say, this is an actual green color, unlike some of the other Samsung devices, which came with, for instance, green, but it was not green. So yeah, I'm talking about folds. So if you ever seen the Fold 4 specifically, they had the green color, I believe it was, but that phone, back of it, so I have a Fold 4, but this is the black one, right? There was a green, supposedly, and that was not green but blue. No matter how you looked at it, if you take a photo of it and just even like do a color sample of it, it's blue, no matter how you slice it. And maybe with a tone of grayishness, but it was blue, so no doubt in it. But yeah, Samsung decided to go colorblind and call it green. But this is green. Now it's kind of... Camera might not be picking up the actual like vibrancy of this actual back right here, but it does look relatively nice, I would say. Anyway, so there's our phone, and one thing that Samsung stopped including nowadays even is the cable, because I mean they're not including a charger. Why would you need a cable, right? Just go buy your own after you've spent like already decent amount on a flagship device. Anyway, I'll just peel that off. And nothing at the back. Now this is a relatively small device. Come on, there we go. So it is one of those that you might have, or might not have any kind of problem using. It is on a smaller side, and it does feel pretty nice in hand. Probably one of the things that makes it feel a little bit better is that the bezels of it, or the frame, is not completely flat like iPhones are, but it has just a little bit of curve to it. So it just lays a little bit nicer in the hand, but still the edges are pretty sharp, right? Like right here. These are just complete like 90 almost degree sharp aluminum or like stainless steel edges, so yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna quickly just go through the setup right here. And I'm gonna start like probably crashing this device. Yep, right here. So a network connection is needed to continue setup. Why? Connect to Wi-Fi or insert a SIM card and use mobile data. I asked why, not what I need to do. Why do I need to connect on a brand new freaking device to network? Samsung, please explain this to me. If it's for warranty purposes, write it freaking here. That's the area where you're supposed to explain why I need to do it, not to do it and go F yourself. I guess I'm just gonna have to connect to network for no reason. So while this is setting up, I'm going to quickly just go over the screen right here that we are looking at right now. So this is a 6.1 inch display with a 1080p by 2340 resolution. Great, I need to also reboot the device. Fantastic. Now we don't get to see the display because it's rebooting, but it is a dynamic AMOLED display, 120 Hz refresh rate, HDR10 Plus certified, and a peak brightness of 1750 nits. Screen ratio is 88.1%, and pixel densities at 422 pixels per inch. So by all intents and purposes, this is a good display. Obviously it's Samsung, so you expect that the display out of all the things will be basically top-notch right here. And all these specs of the display basically fall under the standard right now, with the pixel density, resolutions, and just refresh rates and all that stuff, so no problem right here. Now moving on to storages. This one, like I said, was, I believe it was 256 gigs, I think. I'm gonna quickly check it out again. Yep, 256 gigs. We also have a lower version of this with 128 gigs of storage, and you can also crank it up to 512 gigs of storage. But in terms of RAM, right here, all the devices, or at least this ones, so the S23s, come with 8 gigs. So that's basically what they cap at. And additionally, if you're thinking about picking up a lower end of it, meaning like the 128 gigs of storage, and just slapping in an SD card, I will tell you right now that that's probably not going to be a good idea, and most likely will not work because it's a Samsung. So there is no SD card support, as you can see. So it's a dual SIM, but no SD. Now let's quickly finish this up. Skip anyway. As you've seen, we had a fingerprint sensor, face recognition, pattern, PIN, passwords, all that stuff. So let's see. That's actually a nice looking dark and light mode selection right here. And we can finish now. Okay, so there we go. There is our home screen. There's our typical Samsung notification sound. And there we go. So right off the bat, they do try to hide like the bezels of the phone. So let me just kind of open up something that is completely white, and you can see the bezels. They are pretty minimal, so they don't take up much space. They're also even all around, so symmetrical, and probably would be the word. The bezels at the bottom are the same width as they are at the top, and also size. So it gives a nice symmetrical look to the device, which is actually really nice. I do have a problem with phones that do have, like, for instance, bigger bottom bezel, while the top is just like trying to be as minimal as it's possible. It kind of takes away from it. So there we go. Now, continuing on, the phone is already getting a little bit warm right here. So continuing on with the specs right here, we have a 3900 milliamp hour battery. So for a device this size, I think that's a pretty adequate battery, though it might be a little bit on a small side comparing what this phone is packing inside. So even though it's a relatively small device, it is running a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, so the newest flagship, highest end processor that you can possibly get for Androids. Obviously, you have a better one, at least I think it's better, on iPhones, but they're only on iPhones. So for Android, this is the peak that you can get at, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. And what else is there to say about it? In terms of processor, let me quickly glance over the specs right here if there's anything else to mention. In terms of charging, because we don't have any kind of info about charging right here, at least on the box, and no charger and stuff like that. So to go into it, we have a 25-watt wired charging, which is absolutely freaking pitiful for a flagship device released in 2023. 25 watts is absolutely just a joke. This is, I would consider, non-acceptable. And whoever argues that oh, Samsung does still charge quickly, even though it has a low kind of low charging speeds, like at 25 watts. Shut the hell up. Whoever is saying that, just shut the hell up. I've been using this for the past half a year, and the biggest gripe I have right here with this is the charging speed, and it's about the same. I think it's like 23 or 25, whatever it is. It's in the 20 range, and it is the shittiest thing about this device. It consumes more power than basically other devices, because it has two displays and one of them is massive. It has a relatively small battery size, and charging speed right here is just pitiful. For a device that costs, well, basically a couple salaries, it honestly, a 25 watt charging is unacceptable. And so it is on this device. Any device that has 25 watt charging at this time, it's a joke. And Samsung, it's baffling to me, but Samsung has been having problems with their batteries and with their chargings. So charging has been all around on the board, just absolute shit. I'm not gonna just sugarcoat it. To me, charging a device in 2023 at 25 watts, meaning I'm gonna be charging this device for over 2 hours if it's dead, is a joke. I'm expecting to plug this in, or my flagship device, into charging for 10 minutes and have at least 40%. Here 10 minutes will get you, I don't know, maybe 10, 20%, something like that. It's absolutely pitiful. And it's one of those things that literally turns me off about Samsung devices, and I do own one, so I am, well, a user of it, and I know how painful it is. And I've also used an older device, a cheaper device, that had better charging, and it's one of those things that you don't know you're gonna miss until you are actually missing it. So if you're right now charging at like above 30 watts, you will feel the drop in here. If you're the type of person that just plugs in your phone for like 10 minutes to charge it up, just so you can leave house and still have enough juice to basically get you through the end of the entire day, this phone will not do this, which is a shame. But one thing that I also mention, I did recently watch a video from Mr. Who's the Boss, if any one of you knows that, who that is. Great. He did a video about Samsung batteries basically expiring before their expiry date. And at least at the time of watching this, Samsung just took his devices, because it wasn't a single case scenario. He has an entire shelf of Samsungs, and primarily they were having the problem where the battery just kind of blows up. I mean, not physically blows up, it just kind of expands in size and pops off the back, for instance. So the back glass will just pop off, obviously removing the waterproofing of the device. Samsung just took the devices from him and basically gave him no info about it, and that's kind of where it ended, unless he made an update to it, which I haven't seen. But battery here, I believe, is rated for 5 years, but for the most part his devices, I think, were lasting 2 to 3 years, so that's a little bit concerning, considering the charging speed already here is just garbage. Let's not sugarcoat it, it's just garbage. And having garbage charging and battery on top of that basically expires before it's supposed to expire, it's kind of like a double insult for a phone that already costs more than average device on the market. So I do want to just point that out for everybody who's thinking about picking this device up. I consider this to be very important, specifically if you, I don't know, you have some concerns about your phone just exploding like the old good old Notes. You might want to really consider this. I don't think they're going to be exploding like they used to with the Note series, but still the longevity of the battery in here is something to keep in mind. And moving on with the charging still, basically I did just talk about the charging. They're advertising that you get 50% in 30 minutes. With a 25 watt charger at 3,900, I highly doubt that this is accurate. This is advertised. I believe Fold has a smaller battery and about the same charging speed. And yeah, that ain't getting me 50% in 30 minutes. Not even close. So it is running a that was a tongue twister. Power Delivery 3.0. So maybe default didn't. I didn't really check this, but still I would be skeptical about this number. We also have a wireless charging right here, so you can slap it on a charger, and it doesn't really say how quick it charges, so I have no clue. I don't know what to tell you here. And we have wireless reverse charging at 4.5 watts. So basically the typical 4.5 on, like, it's the same for almost every device. So nothing really special here. Now, anything else to mention? Probably cameras, actually. So at the back, you can see we have a triple camera setup. So we have a main 50 megapixel wide sensor. Then we got a 10 megapixel telephoto and 12 megapixel ultra wide. And with those cameras, you can shoot at 8K, 24 or 30 frames, 4K at 30 or 60. And obviously, the lower you drop, the faster the frame rate, along with the slow motions at 240 at 1080p resolution, or 960 frames per second at 720p. Also supports HDR10 Plus recording, so that's going to give you a nice high dynamic range. And that's about all about the camera at the back. Now at the front, we have a 12 megapixel wide sensor, and again 4K, 3060, 1080p, 30 and 60 I assume. It says only 30, but 4K, 60, so I'm assuming 1080p lower resolution can still do the same high recording at 60 frames. Okay, so that's basically all these specs right here. Now when it comes down to the additions right here, we have an under finger display sensor, we have a Type-C charging port, obviously, speaker grill, just a dual SIM support right here, and nothing else apart from volume rockers, power button on your right side, and just a microphone hole right here at the top. Nothing on the left side, as you can see, and that's about it. So there we go. That is the brand new Samsung Galaxy S23. And even though I am very negatively set for Samsungs, I am set negatively because they do cost a decent amount, while usually underperforming in some crucial parts, I would say. And as a user of a Fold device, or Samsung Fold, the Fold part hasn't been the problem on my device, it's been the software. And because the software is basically the same right here, I assume the same problems will carry over to this device and all the other Galaxy S23s, Plus, Ultras and all that stuff. So at the end of the day, if you had some kind of massive problems with your previous Samsungs that you were like deal breakers for you, probably not much has changed right here. Still the same crappy charging speed, still the same OS right here, meaning Android, but with the One UI, I think it is called. So yeah, nothing different, basically just an upgrade in performance, better processor, which I will also add right here, which I did forget to add. All the Samsung Galaxies right now did come out with the Snapdragon processor, which, if you're aware, wasn't the case before. So previous like S22s still came out, at least in Europe, with an Exynos processor. Samsung, looks like they dropped. I'm not exactly sure why, or if they were forced into it or whatever, but right now Europe is getting a Snapdragon, which I consider to be a really decent thing. Exynos usually underperformed over the counterpart of Snapdragon, while still costing the same amount. Europeans were usually getting screwed over by that because we're paying the same amount for the device that had a inferior processor. That is no longer the case. We now get a Snapdragon just as the US does, so that's pretty nice. First good change, I would say. And with that being said, I would conclude this video by basically not giving any kind of opinion about it, if I recommend it or not. Obviously, everybody who's looking at this will already know if they want the Samsung or not. I tend to usually focus on the more negative sides of the phone. Everybody else just does the positive, like, ooh, everything is glamorous, amazing, and all that stuff. I tend to be more realistic, and let's be honest, at the end of the day, most of the people that have a problem with the device, they will focus more on the things that annoy them about the device, and that will be also the thing that will be turning off a lot of people from picking up a good or flagship device when it has some glaring problems. And I want to give, well, the glaring problems away, let you know what they are, just so you can actually make a knowledgeable purchase of the device. It is, by all intents and purposes, pretty expensive device, coming at about $800 at minimum. So obviously, the more you know, even if it's negative, the better. You can then make an educated decision if whatever I listed to be negative here was, well, negative to you, or if you don't really mind that. And if anything, you can obviously pick it up if you're interested in the things that I listed didn't really annoy you. Now anyway, with this being said, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.